Hello and welcome to the Enhanced Decision Making webinar series. This webinar has been made possible in part through funding under the Saskatchewan Ministry of Agriculture's ADOPT program. Our webinar topic for today is Tools and Programs for Collecting and Analyzing Cow-Calf Production Records. My name is Obio Haduruna. I am the Weyburn Regional Livestock Specialist with the Ministry of Agriculture, and I'll be chairing this webinar today. Our presenters for this webinar are Brittney Livingston with Bio, Terrell Miller with CattleSoft Incorporated, and Jason Williams with Tru-Test Group. Our first presenter, Brittney Livingston, grew up on a mixed farm on the outskirts of Toronto, Ontario. She now farms with her husband on the family farm. She obtained her bachelor's in agriculture from the University of Guelph and joined Bio in 2008. Brittney currently leads Bio's DNA collection efforts towards developing genomic EPDs. She also assists producers with Bio's suites of services and supervises data coming in for the Bull Evaluation Program and the Heifer Development Program. Our second presenter, Terrell Miller, is a founder of CattleSoft Incorporated, a company that develops the CattleMax beef cattle management software and operates e-commerce stores specializing in livestock supplies. Today, the company's products are used by farmers and ranchers in over 70 countries worldwide. The final presenter, Jason Williams, is the Western Canadian Regional Manager for Tru-Test Group. He has been involved in many aspects of livestock identification systems since 1997, and he uses that experience to support the RFID and scale products produced by the Tru-Test Group. He also grazes some yearling cattle and enjoys competing in rodeos with his family. Before we begin, I have a few housekeeping notes. These presentations are scheduled to take about 3/4 of an hour, leaving time for questions or comments. If you have any questions during the presentation, you may type them in the question box in the bottom right-hand side of the control panel, and we can answer them at the end of the presentation. The question box can also be used to communicate any difficulties you may have with sound or presenter speed. During the presentation, you'll be muted, so there is no feedback that will interfere with audio. Please ensure your volume on your speakers is turned up. If you're having difficulty with your speakers, there is also a telephone option which requires you to dial in to listen through a phone while viewing the slides on your computer screen. And if you're viewing the webinar today from a computer with dial-up, you may experience some delay in the audio or the slides. If we run into a delay with the webinar, please stay online and our host will reconnect. After you exit the webinar today, a brief evaluation will appear. Please take time to fill it out. It will help us plan future events. A link to the recorded webinar will also be sent out to registered participants and will be posted on our website following the live presentation. So at this time, I would hand things over to Brittney. Brittney, please take over.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'd like to start by thanking the Western Beef Development Center for inviting us to take part in these webinars, and I would like to offer that if anybody would like to learn more about what you see today, to just feel free to give us a call. Bio is located in Ontario, about 25 minutes north of Guelph, and we've been offering services to beef producers for just over 20 years now. So the program I'm going to talk to you today about is called BioTrack. This is our online livestock management system, and really for us it's just about telling your story. And that particular story can begin with a tag, and that tag is something that we all have to put into our cattle's ears in Canada. And so just looking at adding value to a tag that we already have to put into the animal's ear. Many different tools exist in the marketplace today, and we've worked really hard within our own BioTrack program to make sure that whichever tool you may have in your operation and in your business already can be used to help collect information to put into the BioTrack program. So BioTrack really works towards helping you alleviate some headaches that you may have in your operation. We age verify calves, and we have a link to the CCIA database where we age verify animals 4 times daily. If you are sending cattle to a plant where you're able to get carcass data back, you can upload that on your cattle into the program. Or we also we are working with BICS as they work toward getting carcass data on a more federal level. Lots of times in the beef industry, when you ask somebody how many cows do you have, someone might say, oh, approximately 100 or something like that. Within BioTrack, we work really hard to allow you to know exactly how many cows you own and where they are. We allow you to look up information that you may be interested in. You would be able to compare performance information on your animals year over year. We allow you to capture data in the field or at chute side. The information is in many places and can be pulled together easily. And BioTrack allows you to know which cows are performing on your operations, or better yet, which ones aren't, allowing you to call them. So on the inventory side in BioTrack, you can set up your locations and your groups the way you want and keep track of how many cows, sires, and calves you have at each of those locations, and keep totals by the age of the animal or the sex of the animal or grand totals that you have on your operation. Viewing the information in BioTrack can be viewed by cows, sires, or by calves in a calving season. The grid allows you to sort, filter, and export information that is important to you, allowing you to make business decisions according to the goals that you wish to set in your operation. When you enter information on animals such as health, movements, any other information that's important to your business, we have reports available on a per animal basis to allow you to identify cattle that may still be under a withdrawal program, for example, or find ones that may be problem animals within your herd. When it comes to making selection and culling decisions, we have reports that are available which allows you to, at a glance, sort and look through your cows based on performance parameters that you find important. And the sires, we allow you to look through your sires, filter through your sires, and find out which ones are really doing the job for you year over year. I did mention BICSIS ahead of time. We do have an automatic retrieval from BICSIS set up. We talk with the BICS database on a daily basis, so any animal that is entered into the system with an RFID number and a birth date, we can pull information if it comes back from a slaughter facility that is reporting information to BICSIS. And we continue to work with BICS as they move forward with their new structure. On the mobile side, we are developing an app that works on any smartphone platform. So that could be a BlackBerry, an Android, or an iPhone. The particular app would allow you to work with your herd records without internet. So if you have a spot in your pasture, for example, where you don't get cell service, you would still be able to work with your records. You can review animal information and add new details while you're handling cattle. And then when you come back to internet range, you would upload the information. This would include, but is not limited to, a photo gallery, your herd information with a logo or a brand, the connection to the CCIA and BICS database, value-added information for your herd, and again, like I said, it can be used on any device that can access the internet. So a smartphone, a laptop, tablet, or computer. Go 360, as I mentioned, it would allow you to enter animals into the program, retrieve animals information as you see fit. You can enter event information as you are chute side with the animal, pull up any reports, add photos, and view the profile of an animal. And here's just another shot of a few more shots of the Go360 app, as we call it, which is our BioTrack mobile option. So we talked a little bit about BICs, and locally we know that that's a federal program, but on the provincial side we actually also have people looking to report carcass information back to producers. And so we have another program. It's outside of BioTrack, but I find that it's important to talk about, is our BioLinks program. And this particular program was developed by Alberta Agriculture and was known as FITS. In the last year and a half, this program has been licensed to Bio in Elora, Ontario, to sell, support, and develop across Canada. So this program is now relabeled BioLinks, and it looks beyond the farm using common technology, a unique barcode system, an inventory management tool, point of sale, traceability, ease of invoicing, creates an online store for the users, and the important part was that it'll link the information back to the on-farm data that is collected by producers. And again, this is all done using the RFID tag that we're already putting into animals' ears. Users are able to collect valuable information such as kill date, hot carcass weight, cold carcass weight, quality grade, ribeye area, fat cover, pictures, and where the animal came from, allowing for full traceability. So that is all I have going through my presentation. Fortunately, I'm not going to go over my time allotted here. So if anybody has any questions, please be sure to let us know. You can find us online on many social media available, or give us a call and we'd be happy to discuss more of the program with you.
Thank you so much, Brittany. So now we will we'll now head over to Terrell. Terrell, the screen is yours now.
Okay, great. Let's get our transition over. Appreciate the opportunity to be here today. It's a great thing that you all are doing to help producers learn a little bit more about management and record keeping and that type of things. A little bit of a background on us. Our company is CattleSoft, and if you can't tell by my accent, we're located in College Station, Texas. We have customers in over 70 countries. We were started in 1999 while my wife and I were students at Texas A&M Agriculture University down here. Our company does three main things. The primary area that we focus on is our developing and marketing the CattleMax software. In addition, we operate some e-commerce stores where we've worked with Allflex some on the tag side, and of course Tru-Test on the scale and RFID side. So we found that they're great companies to work with to help kind of tie everything together. A little bit about our CattleMax product is CattleMax is a beef cattle management software. It's designed specifically for beef cattle with an emphasis on cow-calf, though it does keep track of stocker and yearling information as well as, of course, carcass data. But it's designed specifically for cattle, and so that it helps it really go into the depth that a lot of cow-calf producers need. It is a web-based software program, so it can be accessed from any web browser with an internet connection, whether that's iPhone, Android, iPad, Mac, PC, you name it. So you can use your existing devices there. We have customers using CattleMax as small as 10 head, well into the thousands. And some of those customers are commercial, while others are registered cattle. But one of the things, too, that we really focus on with our CattleMax is the service and support behind it. CattleMax is what we look at as more of a living software program. It's one that is constantly being updated based on customer feedback. Weekly, we receive feedback from customers, adding additional integrations such as with breed associations, CCIA, CLTS, BICS, and so forth. So it's always being updated, and those updates are available free to CattleMax customers. And support is also available by email as well as phone. And we do host webinars or online classes just like these several times a month. So we certainly make ourselves available for folks to ask questions. Also, CattleMax comes with a free 21-day trial. That way you can try it out for yourself and see how that works for you. That's something that as producers do, as you do look to keep track of your records, is to try several programs out to figure out which one is going to work based on your needs. As I mentioned, there are several editions of CattleMax. We have an ID, which is very basic, and we won't discuss today. But our two most popular editions are our commercial and our registered editions. They all are going to keep track of identification, movement, health treatments, and of course that information can be easily imported and exported and so forth when it comes to the CLTS database. So instead of having to keep your cattle records and then a separate set of spreadsheets for tracking your EIDs, you just simply use the software, and when you need to generate information for exporting, you can just export that out as a spreadsheet. The commercial and registered editions also keep track of production, your breeding, pregnancy, calving, as well as your performance history. All of your weights, carcass data, and that information that can be imported and exported with BICS. We've been working with them for the last, seems like a couple years now, as they've been working on the new BICS 2. So CattleMax has all of that capability in there as standard. The big difference between the commercial and the registered editions, though, are the EPDs and pedigrees, as well as the breed association interfaces. And the association interfaces act as a great way to get started, where you can download your records from your breed association instead of having to manually enter them. If you happen to be looking at the commercial edition, we also have a bulk add feature to quickly get your data loaded in there. CattleMax's price starts at $110 a year for the commercial, $170 a year for the registered. You can also pay by the month if that's something that's more convenient. There are no setup fees or any kind of additional fees from there. Also, CattleMax, the commercial and registered editions do qualify for the Growing Forward, and that's something that we'll be glad to help you out with. If you need any kind of questions on that, or can refer you to the appropriate governmental officials if you need. And a couple of the things that make CattleMax a little bit more unique is that it is designed for data entry both in the field as well as in the office. So whether that's entering data in the field from an internet-connected iPhone, iPad, or Android, or simply entering data into your scale indicator and importing that into CattleMax. So it makes record keeping easy to do in the field so that you don't return back home and have piles of worksheets to enter into the software. Do your record keeping in the field, and when you get home, record keeping should be done. Another thing about CattleMax is that it includes unlimited users, and we've seen that that's been a great way to increase collaboration on the ranch, whether it's owners and managers and employees, or it simply may be parents and then their children in remote locations. With the multi-users, everyone can log in and work with the records at the same time, so it's a real handy way of keeping everyone on the same page. As I mentioned earlier, CattleMax being web-based means that it works on whatever device you use, Mac, PC, iPhone, Android, however works best for you. Also, CattleMax does exchange information with partners, whether that's breed associations, government, any compliance type things, or even performance data with carcasses and feedlot. We do, again, work very closely. We've worked with Tru-Test and Allflex over the years on streamlining RFID as well as digital weighing so that you can conveniently and quickly get that information into CattleMax without having to re-enter. Just real quickly, a couple screens in CattleMax. This is the dashboard when you log in. You can see it's a very user-friendly, intuitive system where you simply tap the icon for the area you'd like to access, breeding, calving, weaning. There's also various record areas at the top. This is an example of an animal's profile page where you can pull up, in this case, Cal 2818, and view all of her permanent information, offspring, breeding, performance, health, and so forth. You can simply edit the animal if you need to make any changes. You can see, for example, this is the breeding tab where the current breeding information is kept. Of course, your performance information like calving intervals, MPPA, next calving date, average weaning weight, that's all maintained. And this is just a view of CattleMax on the mobile version where it's a smaller screen, but it is optimized and streamlined for mobile. So that's how that is set up and laid out there. So, all right. I'll go ahead and turn it on over to Jason, I guess, is up next so that we kind of keep everything on time and go from there. Appreciate the opportunity to share CattleMax with you. You can learn more at CattleMax.com or our Canadian storefront at castore.cattlemax.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Terrell. Jason, you have the floor now.
Wonderful. Okay, so like Obi mentioned, I'm the Western Canadian rep for Tru-Test, and just want to touch today on some things on ways we can capture data safely on the farm and use that information into programs like the Bio program or the CattleMax as mentioned. We've been around for a long time in the manufacturing side and dealt with a lot of livestock management products over the years, and we've made our own livestock scale since 1982. As mentioned before, we really want to capture information quickly and safely so that it doesn't impact your handling sessions with those animals, because we don't want to slow down your whole process. Every ranch is slightly different. Everyone has different needs. We could analyze different scenarios for a lot longer than 15 minutes, so we're not going to really get into that. But some basic considerations that you're going to have to think about is, even on your squeeze chute or your Alleyway system, do you need a pour concrete pad, or are you planning to upgrade to a hydraulic chute? Are you happy with the chute you have? Is there going to be changes that way? Those are just some things you should think about before making a commitment with any scale product, or at least to make sure it's compatible with a variety of your choices. You may need it to be portable. There's some portable Alleyway systems that are manufactured now that do a great job producing products that you can move from pasture to pasture. So you may want a scale product that you can integrate into that. Maybe you just want an Alleyway system for the farm where you could weigh, in a few different locations on your own farm by just moving an Alleyway platform. On your different data requirements, some people think that a spreadsheet is all the information they require, and that's perfectly fine. But you may want to look at different breeding information, ear tag data, some cow family history, maybe what medications you plan to use or you have used, the different dosages that you've done in the past. If you're considering tying in electronic ear tag readers, you should consider, are all of our animals the same size? Are we just going to be reading in an Alleyway? Maybe a wand is a better option for us. because it's a little more portable, a little more user-friendly at times. And in the end, what are you going to do with your information that you capture? If you just want a CSV file to upload to the CCIA program or to Bixus, that's easily done. Most wand companies provide the list in an Excel or a CSV spreadsheet, and that's great. We can do the same with our scale products, and again, every farm is different, so just a few questions to think about on that. Now, we manufacture solely livestock scale and reader products. We have some industries where they actually weigh things like different commodities and bananas and odds and ends, but it's predominantly a livestock company. We make products that can be used outside in all weather, weatherproof, waterproof, dustproof, and again, we want to quickly and accurately capture information. Anything that you capture at the chute should be relevant in assisting you in different decisions. If you're handling those animals, you do have an opportunity to capture some information. So I think if you're going through the process of handling animals and doing some type of a procedure, you can record that information and it will not impact the time frame that you're out in the corral. And as listed, it says the effective use of data is imperative to a successful business. We have a lot of people that actually capture the data, but they do not analyze it, and that can also be counterproductive. Sometimes we're not always too interested just in the weight of an animal. Maybe we only need the animal's identification. So you can just capture an animal's ID by reading the RFID tag, and that can be done in two ways. We have a handheld stick reader as pictured on the screen, and we also have a permanent panel reader. Both of them capture ear tag data. There's different scenarios for each of those products. Again, in the sake of time, we don't have a lot of time to go over all the features and whatnot. Both of these products qualify for the Saskatchewan government traceability rebates. So that's essentially a 70% rebate on products that facilitate the use of electronic information. Both of these products capture and store information. Both of them send information to another device, like your tablet or your handheld, your mobile phone or a scale indicator, or a ruggedized computer. Some models of the scales actually allow manipulation of data right at the chute side, and others, the plan is to download that onto a spreadsheet and do that at your PC at a later time. Once it's on the computer, it generates a CSV or an Excel spreadsheet. You can use your spreadsheet formats to then upload that information into your herd management programs like the BioTrack or CattleMax. If you're happy with just leaving it as a CSV or as an Excel spreadsheet, then you can manipulate that information as you see fit in your own program. Next is a screenshot, of course, similar to what Terrell just showed from the CattleMax, in that we can just import electronic ear tag information into the CattleMax program, and then they can add offspring, pedigree, some health status items as they see fit. Now, our higher end scales will do a lot of similar information, but a cow herd management program tends to do a little more on the information side than any scale will. Most of the connections are done through a Bluetooth connection. We have supplied the USB cords to do it if you would like to use a cord. We have USB storage on our two models of our scales, and then we've got a DataLink app that you can find on Google Play or at the App Store, and those are totally free of charge, and they just allow the producer to utilize an iPad or your mobile phone to transfer information from the scale into an email format that you can open up on your computer. This picture shows us using our wand into the bio program for BioTrack, and we have some great options in the field where you can read in real time onto a device like that and manipulate your data at that time. I also included information from a producer that utilizes our scales and readers to capture information anytime they process calves. And some of the screenshots that are shown actually go into his weaning program in January, where he has sorted out steer calves into 3 feeder pens based on weight. Once he went back and looked at the data, he realized that he could tell which sires produced the heaviest calves that ended up in those feeder pens. And he's went on to use that information not only to help his feeding programs, but to make some breeding decisions as well. So this screenshot basically shows a graph of all the animals that he weaned off that day. So this was January 17th. He weaned off 436 calves. It tells you the average weight was 1,043 pounds. The heaviest calf was 1,310 pounds. The lightest 696. It also gives you the total weight that he processed that day. So he can use this if he wants to load out legal weight trucks, or just to figure out the actual weight of each individual feeder pen. The next screen shows the pen numbers. If you look right at the bottom, it actually shows the last 2 bulls there. It shows how many animals ended up in pen numbers 6, 8, and 9. And again, he used that information to decide on some of his AI programs for the spring. And that's just looking at basically the sire and the weight. The more information he could have put in earlier, the more things you could look at a later time. So he really used it to help with his rationing, his feed rations, the proper medication dosage when it was required. He didn't use too much, and he didn't use too little, because that's a problem as well. He figured out that the heaviest calves, again, came from those 2 sires, and he's made some changes in his spring breeding, or he will be. And they also use their scale to finish their steers, and he can use it based on what they're gaining. It will tell them a projected sale date or the date when they're going to be ready at the end of their feeding life. So again, this was only comparing 2 items, which were sire and weight, and so there's a lot of different possibilities. The more information you can capture, the more you can look at a later date. So there's my information. Again, it's Jason Williams. You can find us on the web. You can call or text my cell anytime, and of course we're on Twitter and Facebook. So with that, I guess we can open up for questions, and I'll hand it back to Obi. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jason. I would like to thank Brittany, Terrell, and Jason for this wonderful presentation. So we're ready to take questions now. So you have the question box right in front of you. If you have any question, please type it in, and then we'll try to address it. But we also want to mention that there are many different, the Traceability Rebate program covers a whole lot more on the list in terms of technology. So even BioTrack and CattleMax would also qualify for that rebate program. So there are many more on that list. So it's not just a few. So one question that came in is, it says, what about feedlot cattle data? So I'm guessing he would want you to address the question this is Brittney, Terrell, and Jason. How do these technologies apply to feedlot data? Anyone can go first.
Okay, this is Jason Williams. I know a lot of feedlots right now will have I'll speak on the scale and reader side of this question. A lot of the feedlots right now have what we would call a group scale, where they can put multiple animals on the scale at the same time. But they're actually starting to install individual scale setups so that they can identify poor doers. When you weigh 12 or 15 animals at a time, it doesn't tell you which one is gaining the least or what other information you may want to capture. Now, they can use the individual scales to properly formulate how much antibiotic to use, or if they're pouring on a product on arrival, it figures out based on the weight the exact amount to apply to the animal. So once again, we're not using too much or too little, but you can pull out information on individual animals that are not keeping up with the rest, and also you can start to target your ending dates for those cattle based on what they're how fast they're growing. So.
This is Terrell with CattleMax. From a feedlot side, information such as you can keep track of notes and feeding and lot and pen and that type thing in CattleMax, but it's not geared towards a feedlot, in that feedlots have a different set of information that's kept. There's a lot of feed efficiencies and gain and that type thing that's not necessarily something that's tracked by cow-calf producers. So as a cow-calf producer, you can use CattleMax to follow your information into the feedlot and track your animals from birth to stocker to feedlot and packer. However, it's not designed to run a feedlot, if you will.
Okay, and this is Brittany Livingston again with Bio. So within our software, we do have a feedlot section of the program, and that particular section works very well in the scenario where a cow-calf producer is keeping animals back on feed and their own cattle from their own operation, and then if they are buying any in. The other thing we have done, recognizing, as Terrell said, that there's a lot of additional information that feedlots are looking for, we've actually partnered with a company called BioTrack that is doing quite a bit of work in the feedlot sector, and we're partnering with them to allow our producers to use a program like what they have developed. And so that's what we're doing kind of on the feedlot side, instead of essentially reinventing the wheel, just using another program that already exists and that has a proven track record that for performance.
Okay. Thank you. Someone asked where they can find information about the Traceability Rebate program, and I just sent out the link to everyone. So if you click on that link, you will get more information about the rebate program. So one question for Jason. He says, can the Tru-Test wand be set only to transfer the last 9 digits of the RFID by Bluetooth to a device?
No, it's designed to send the full 15 digits, and then you would change the acceptance on the device. You could change, it depends on the device it's going into, but we can change, a lot of the devices can just receive the last 9 digits. But again, these products are sold worldwide. Everywhere else in the world wants the complete number, so we're not changing it just for Canada's needs. It's quite relevant to have all those numbers. Again, we're an ISO approved company, and that's why it's set in to do that.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, how do you keep track of feed costs for each group of animals, and what kind of report shows the cost of feed that depend, and you can and can you impute the feed from the mobile? I guess this is for BioTrack and CattleMax.
Okay, so I'll hop in here. This is again Brittany. Yeah, so depending on what level of entering feed information into the program you're looking for, you do have the ability to enter in things like feed costs, mineral costs, salt costs, those types of things, to work toward a cost per head per day. If you are thinking more on the feeding side in terms of how much a pen of cattle is feeding or how much that feed is costing you going into that pen of cattle, you are able to enter the type of feed that is being fed and the cost of that feed into the program. And then, as I said before, on a feedlot basis, the BioTrack program goes quite a bit more in depth in terms of calculating things like average daily gains and that sort of thing in a feedlot scenario.
CattleMax does have an income and expense area. Specifically, you can keep track of expenses. You can assign them to individual animals, or you can categorize them out however you need to keep track of the cost associated with that. As far as from the feed efficiency, there is information to keep track of that value in CattleMax, but that value would need to come from somewhere such as the feedlot. But that information can be stored.
Oh, thank you. This question is for Jason. Does the Tru-Test scale only work with Tru-Test reader, or does any can any Bluetooth reader transmit to the scale, transmit information to the scale?
Yes, very common question, but no, certainly any Bluetooth product, the reader will talk with other Bluetooth products, and any Bluetooth product can send, if the product has the ability to send information into our scales, it definitely works with anyone else's readers, for sure, yes.
Okay, thank you. This question will be for BioTrack and CattleMax. It says, who calculates EPDs and how often?
CattleMax keeps track of it. There's a place to keep the EPDs. However, EPDs are calculated through the breed association, in that most producers don't have a herd large enough to calculate their own in-herd EPDs. So the breed associations calculate those EPDs, and many associations are able to provide that EPD data to their members in a spreadsheet type format that can be imported into CattleMax so that you don't have to manually enter that in. So you can store the information in CattleMax, but those values are calculated at the breed association, taking into account the entire animals in the breed, not just one particular herd.
Okay, and so at Bio, what we do is we actually have genetic evaluation software to calculate our own genetic evaluations. So the genetic evaluations are calculated on a weekly basis. We do run every Friday night, and at sometimes we do actually more frequently than that. And those genetic evaluations are reported back both on within breed basis, and in the instance that a commercial operation is using the program, they do have access to a genetic evaluation value based on a crossbreed evaluation. So those are all done in-house by us.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any other question here. Please use the question box if you have any questions for Jason, Terrell, and Brittany. Okay, one is, can we use the Bluetooth link? Okay, can the Bluetooth link connect RFID tags into a smartphone directly to programs? I guess this is for Jason.
Yeah, I can shed a little bit of light on that. It comes down to the program having the ability to receive that information. So most Bluetooth items will link up to a device, the same as your headset will in your vehicle for your hands-free calling or whatnot. But your handheld device or your iPhone or your iPad or your smartphone has to have a program that can accept those numbers. We utilize what's called a keyboard wedge, and what a keyboard wedge program does is it basically fools your cell phone or your tablet into thinking that you have a Bluetooth keyboard hooked up to it. And wherever the cursor is blinking on your screen, the tag number will appear in that place. And then basically what is happening is the electronic reader is talking to the wedge program, and the wedge program then forces the number onto the screen in the relevant area. That's how, when we were doing the presentations with Bio, we were reading in real time to an iPhone, but there is a wedge program built into the Bio software.
Yep, and if I may echo that, Jason, it really does depend on the device that you are using, and recently we've done some investigating on the smartphone and tablet route, where we have found different apps for whether it's an Android or an iPhone that would be able to allow you to read directly from a Bluetooth device such as a scale head or a wand reader or something like that into the smartphone or piece of equipment that you are holding in your hand. So just depending on what it is, there are a few different solutions that exist.
One thing to note with the RFID readers is that Apple has some specific hardware requirements for the reader to be compatible, and so that's sometimes an issue. So if the device is not directly, say, Apple compatible, that's where you get into some of the solutions that were mentioned. There are a few devices out there that are Apple compatible. I'm not sure some of them off the top of my head, but we've worked a few of those where essentially you can have an RFID reader, scan a tag, and it's sent directly to the phone without any type of intermediary. Again, that's if the hardware is Apple compatible. I don't think that's quite the issue on Android, though.
Okay. There's a question here. It says there are no software companies specific for the bison producers. Would you consider adding the 2 breeds of bison into your program?
CattleMax is pretty flexible in terms of being able to add additional breeds. You can add a breed and specify the gestation period. So in terms of that type of information, that's something that can be set up in CattleMax. From there, you would have the weights, if weights were tracked, health, movement, that type of thing. But in terms of the reproduction, the breeding, and the calving, and whether it's pairing the animals back to their sire and dam or not, that information can be kept up in CattleMax.
Okay, and on the BioTrack side, I know that in the past few months we've specifically had some discussion around that exact topic, and it certainly isn't outside of the realm of possibility that those breeds we could work with those producers and set up some of the different possibilities in BioTrack. So it certainly is an option to be done.
Okay. I don't see any other question coming up. So at this time, we would like to thank you for joining us for this webinar, Tools and Programs for Collecting and Analyzing cow-calf Production Records in our Enhanced Decision-Making webinar series. And special thanks to Brittney Livingston, Terrell Miller, and Jason Williams for putting these presentations together. We also thank the Saskatchewan Ministry of Agriculture and the Western Beef Development Center for their support. If you have any questions regarding this topic or anything else related to agriculture, please contact your nearest Saskatchewan Agriculture Regional Office. You can also call the Agriculture Knowledge Center at 1-866-457-2377, or you can visit our website. Please take time to fill out the brief evaluation that pops up after the presentation. It helps us plan future events. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great day. Thank you.